Hello and welcome back to another episode of Evil Kitty Music Presents. Must be Friday because here we are again back together with another episode. And today we're going to talk about an album/band that I think gets underappreciated. I bet most of you have never heard of it. And when I kind of go through the history and who's in the band, you're probably going to scratch your head and say, how have I not heard of this? But hey, that's what we're here to talk about. I'm going to introduce you to it. You're going to go find it. You're going to love it. And you're going to go, gee, Keith, thank you for all this awesome recommendations on music. My iPod's getting fuller and it's all getting better music. And it's all because of you. The band and album in question is Shadow King. And we're talking about their debut self-titled album. As a matter of fact, it's their only album. But before we get into the album, let's get into the history and the main people in the band. It all starts off with an artist, a rock icon, if you will, born in Rochester, New York. What's that, Brittany? Yeah, it's me. Well, I was born in Rochester, New York. I'm a rock icon in my own mind. I mean, and I'm sure there's at least one or two people out there that would consider me a rock icon, right? I mean, I'm a rock icon. Was I in Shadow King? I mean, not yet, but who knows? Maybe they'll discover me and want to get the band back together, and maybe I'll be the new guitar player. It could happen, right? Okay, so it has nothing to do with me. Although I was born in Rochester, New York, just like this other rock icon. But the rock icon we're actually talking about is Lou Gramm. You probably know Lou Gramm. If not by name, you know him by voice. Because he is the iconic voice of the band Foreigner. If you're over a certain age, there's no doubt you had a decade of your life on the radio listening to Foreigner because they had platinum albums and hit songs everywhere. Cause he's a jukebox hero with stars in his eyes. He's a jukebox hero. So the actual guitarist in question for Shadow King is someone named Vivian Campbell. Vivian Campbell got famous in a band called Dio. Of course, Dio being the offshoot of Ronnie James Dio, famous for his stepping into Black Sabbath after Ozzy Osbourne. This was his solo project. And from like 83 to 86 and all his beginning albums, including the iconic Last in Line and Holy Diver albums, it was Vivian Campbell sharing the writing and guitar responsibilities. Holy Diver, I don't know any words. Holy Diver, it's a Dio song. He also did a brief stint in Whitesnake, mostly in a touring band. Evidently didn't go well with the other guitar player, and when it came time to make the new album, he was nixed. Not totally sure of the history here, but at some point, Lou Gramm decides to do a solo album. I think it's his second solo album, and Vivian Campbell ends up playing a couple of the tracks on that album. Fast forward a little bit to 1991, they decide to put a band together with fellow upstate New Yorker Bruce Turgeon, who I don't know much about, except after Shadow King, he ends up in Foreigner when Lou Gramm returns, and someone named Kevin Valentine on drums. Again, not sure who he is. If I had to take a guess, he's probably from upstate New York. This seems to be like an upstate New York band with the exception of Vivian Campbell. I could be wrong, and if someone knows Kevin Valentine, please go ahead and put it in the comments below, and maybe you can teach me something about this great album. So these guys come together and they form Shadow King. Technically, they're under the name Lou Gramm Band for a single that shows up on one of the Highlander movies, which is kind of cool.
One dream keeps me hanging on. One dream dreaming over and over. One dream that love will find a way. Find a way, yeah. One dream that's all that I'm living for. One dream dreaming over and over. One dream that love will find a way. Find a way, yeah.
But the album itself is just the Shadow King album. Now, Shadow King, I'm going to warn you right now, is a keyboard-heavy rock album. As a matter of fact, it sounds a lot like Foreigner, which isn't surprising given the fact it's a Lou Gramm project. And this album may be partial to me because I like keyboard-based music, and there's a possibility I might be working on a keyboard rock type project as we speak. Was that Brittany? I wouldn't call it a new band, Brittany. It's more like an old thing I've been working on my whole life. And it's not like we have a logo or any actual music recorded. And maybe it'll come out eventually. Stay tuned to find out. But before we do that, let's get into Shadow King. And let's just go like a quick track by track kind of breakdown of the album. So it opens with a track called What Would It Take with a heavy keyboard influence.
There is another way. We can go like this. No matter how it ends.
Not bad, very early 90s sounding, but doesn't bother me.
Completed borrow. I can see it in your eyes. Right. A prisoner of love. Changing sorrow. Set you free tonight.
And a cool riff.
Feels like this. I can't look the other way. No, I can't go on like that. I can only live for today. There ain't no turning.
Second track on the album, Anytime, Anywhere, that this opens with a really cool big guitar riff hook that I love.
It's physical.
Then it goes on to a track called Once Upon a Time. Definitely hear that Foreigner influence, right? I mean, it's very Foreigner sounding. But I don't know if that's a bad thing. I mean, there's a reason Foreigner is so popular.
A boy is born in a bed of thorns. He wears his halo hanging from his horns.
Interesting fact about Foreigner. Foreigner is going to end up being the first band that's ever going to keep performing with none of the original members. How cool is that? I mean, the original members, I'm sure, get paid somewhat like a licensing fee or something, but they basically get to retire and the band doesn't go away. You literally have a brand new incarnation of the band that's going to keep playing without them. So for any huge rock bands out there, it's an interesting take to have. I don't know if many bands could pull that off, because it's hard to have a Guns N' Roses without an Axl and a Slash, or a Metallica without a James Hetfield, right? But really, I mean, I can tell you Mick Jones and Lou Gramm, but would you know who they are if they walked by you? Probably not. So they can replace them on stage and you wouldn't even realize you're not watching the original band. Anyway, interesting Foreigner story. So the fourth track on the album is called Don't Even Know I'm Alive. And it's going to have another one of those cool, ominous keyboard. With the big guitar. Okay, so the fifth track on the album is a track that I enjoy. It's called Boy. And we're going to start with that cool, almost Asian-y sound keyboard riff. It's like a flute sound. That's going to be a guitar rocker, right? So we're going to need a big drum fill to bring us all in. Cool little guitar riff that I enjoy. So it's essentially like a punk riff. It's 3 chords. It's your... And even the verse is just a... with a couple riffs like... And then to break it up for the chorus, you're adding that third... And then just playing off it. I find it fun to play. I think it's a pretty cool song. Vivian Campbell, awesome. Next we go to a song called I Want You at the 6th track. Another mid-tempo rocker. I'm gonna warn you, this is full of mid-tempo rockers. It's not really much more than that. But again, if you like that kind of music, keep them coming. Very repetitive guitars. At 7, we got a track called This Heart of Stone. They're awesome keyboards. I believe all the keyboards were played by Bruce Turgeon and Vivian Campbell too. I was looking to see if there was a keyboard player. I was almost thinking it sounded like Foreigner's keyboard player because it does sound so foreigner-y. That just must be the Lou Gramm influence. Riff, guitar. The 8th track is something called Danger in the Dance of Love. More guitar driven. And the production's a little late 80s, early 90s, so it's a little dated, but still holds up to me. 9th is No Man's Land. Surprising, starts off with a keyboard riff. big guitar hook.
Now maybe, I got one tale of magic.
Keyboard, bass, vocal action, a little bass drum beat. Lead you into a big guitar hook, you know that's coming, right?
Sometimes it's alright. Ain't no message.
On cue. Now it ends on a very ballad, almost acoustic driven song that's beautiful called Russia, which I also enjoy a lot.
In this hour of the night, one candle I light before sleep takes me, and the prayer that I start, I know it by heart. Need one favor from heaven. If I must walk alone, let the road lead.
And this doesn't really build up to anything super heavy. This is just a nice, slow, beautiful ballad, but very cool. And that's basically the 10 tracks on the album. Suggest you go check it out for yourself, listen to the whole thing. So why haven't you heard of this album? After the album was released, the band played one show in England. One show.
I can't think with my heart. No. I never fool with my toes. Hey, yeah. I'll be your man, baby. Remember this, I'll always be your boy. Hey, I can't think with my heart. No. I never fool with my toes. Hey, yeah. Yes, I'll be your man, baby. Remember this, I am still a boy.
After that show, something happened. Hello, mate. You're messing with me, right? Def Leppard, you say? Yeah, I'm in. I'll be there tomorrow. That's right. So after that show, Vivian Campbell gets a call and is offered the guitar job in Def Leppard, replacing Steve Clark after his passing. And he took the gig. And from 1992 to current, he's still the guitarist for Def Leppard that you can see him play now. And that pretty much meant the end for Shadow King. So Lou Gramm and Bruce Turgeon went back to Foreigner. And I'm sure they made a buttload of money with the Foreigner, so it all worked out for them. But unfortunately, it didn't work out well for Shadow King, as that band never got off the ground, which is unfortunate because it's a great album. So it's kind of a one album moment in time. Vivian's also gone and created a band called Last in Line based on the name of the Dio album that we mentioned before, to play that kind of music and kind of go back to his past and relive some of that. This is an album, I'm not even sure how I came across this album, but if I had to guess, it was during Sunday Mass. And why I say that is because my brother and I used to have to go to Sunday Mass together. We'd go to a different time than my parents would go, except we wouldn't actually make it to Mass. Instead, we'd end up in Tower Records, and we'd spend 45 minutes just hanging out at Tower Records, sampling things, checking out albums, generally picking up music that was just random. It wasn't popular necessarily. We were just trying to find new things. And every once in a while, I stumbled across a gem like this one. And this is one of the first CDs I owned as well. And I remember being at the house and putting it in one day, and I had a friend, James, who was a big metalhead at the time. I remember he was into like Gwar and music of that nature. And I put it on, and his head just turned, and he said, "Oh my God, is that Lou Gramm?" And I didn't even know it was Lou Gramm. I just picked up the album and I had it on. And I was like, I don't know. We picked up the liner notes, and it was Lou Gramm, and he was shocked and surprised. He had never heard of that album because I guess he was a big Foreigner Lou Gramm fan. So yeah, if you're a fan of that kind of music, definitely check out that record and keep your ears out for any announcements that I might be making about the Total Stranger record, which, truth be told, is not coming out anytime soon. It's still in early-ish production phases, but hopefully next year, knock on wood, we'll get something out. If we get any songs done by the end of the year, I may put in a sneak peek here and there, but still a work in progress. Excited to bring it to you. It's been a lot of music I've been wanting to get out for a long time. So fingers crossed it's coming soon-ish. That's what we'll say. And on that note, be sure to like and subscribe. Remember to self-promote yourself. Come on, no one's done it yet. So go ahead and put your information in the comments so people can check you out. Eventually, people are going to start seeing these videos. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually we'll get some traffic, right? And then people will go in and they'll see it, and you'll get some promotion down the line. So with that being said, thank you for checking it out. See you next Friday, and rock on.